Okay, so this 2012 Chevy 3/4 ton HD has a parasitic draw. The battery went dead overnight. I had charged it yesterday. So I've got an amp clamp connected on the output cable. Let me turn the light on here. Okay, so I've got the amp clamp connected on the output cable from the 175 amp maxi fuse right off the battery. There was no current draw on this cable, which is the cable going to the starter. And there was no current draw on this cable, which is the cable coming from the alternator, so there's no bad diodes in the alternator. But with the amp clamp set up for reading 20 amps on the output cable that feeds the power distribution center over here, we have a significant draw. We have roughly 18 or 15 amps of current flow. So first thing I did was disconnected some aftermarket lighting that was wired in here. Took it off the feed studs here, which are live all the time, and that made no difference, and started checking fuses one at a time. This particular 30 amp fuse has power to it, so let's pull that fuse and see. So that takes the draw from 15 amps down to roughly 3 amps. Now there's likely some computers still awake in the vehicle, but that's a significant amount of it. We've still got showing 4 or 5 amps. Maybe I need to zero the amp clamp again just in case the reading has changed or drifted since I had it set up here. So I'll take this off, set it on top of the cable. Oh, my meter went to sleep. Okay. And I can see that it's drawing roughly 40 milliamps, 30 milliamps there. Okay, zeroed it again. Slip it back over top of the cable. And we're actually at about 2.8 amps of current draw. So let's find out what that 30 amp fuse feeds, and we'll investigate that. So it turns out that that 30 amp fuse feeds the rear window defogger. It's fuse number 50 in the fuse panel here. So if you look carefully, we can see fuse 50 is the rear defogger fuse. And this has got some aftermarket toolboxing in the rear of the truck, so there could be something going on with that. But even with that fuse removed, we still got close to 3 amps of current draw. So the next fuse I pull out, which is right beside this one, so it brings that current draw down from about 3 amps down to about 180 milliamps, which is what I'd expect to see before the retained accessory power relay shuts down. So we also got another fuse here, a 15 amp fuse, which according to the fuse panel here is fuse 51. Fuse 51 is for heated mirrors, so that explains why we're not hearing or seeing anything on. If the heated mirrors are on and the rear window defogger is on, they don't make any sound, but they certainly are going to draw and kill the battery pretty quickly. So I'm going to have to look at the control side of this to figure out what's going on with that. Okay, so I stand corrected. This is actually a 2011 Chevy truck, but those two fuses, fuse number 51 feeds the rear defogger, fuse 50 feeds the rear defogger, 51, which is this one, feeds the heated mirrors, and they're both controlled by this relay. So with the relay removed, I still got 14 amps, yet according to this schematic, that relay sends power to those fuses, yet I still have power on those fuses with that relay removed, as is evident with a test light here. Which is not right, and that should have power on pin 87, which is this one here, and I do. I have power on pin 87 and I have power on pin 30. So to me, according to that, something is supplying power. Now there is a significant amount of green corrosion on these fuses when I pulled them out, so it's possible that the circuit underneath as part of this power distribution center is causing that problem. We'll have to take the circuit board off, flip it upside down, and have a look at it. Interesting. Okay, I just thought I'd try something interesting here. I'm shooting the temperature of the body of the truck. Can't get a glare off there. 67 degrees in my shop. And then we shoot the temperature of the mirror, and it's around 80. And I wonder if the rear defogger, and I've got the fuses removed now, I wonder if the rear window glass is warm too while we're here. Yeah. Well, that would definitely kill the battery overnight for sure, leaving the rear defogger and the heated mirrors on. But the interesting thing is that I have to remove those fuses. You can see the green corrosion in the terminals there. Come on, focus. And when I took the fuse out, the fuse is hot to the touch. The circuit board is hot right in this corner. So there's got to be some corrosion going on inside there that's causing that short out. Okay, so we got this relay center out of this 2011 Chevy Silverado. And over in the corner here where those two fuses were, fuse 50 was right there and 51 was right beside it, and then that relay was right here. You can see the circuit board's all overheated. I can't physically see why it's shorted yet, but I'm going to clean some of the oxidation off the terminals here and see if I can check for continuity between those pins with an ohmmeter. You can also see several of those little white boxes on this are all printed circuit mounted relays. So there's quite a few of them. This actually comes apart pretty easily. It's a lot easier than a Dodge one, that's for sure. Okay, so we got the relay center reinstalled with the modified terminals there, as you can see, and an external relay mounted over there, comes down, two inline fuses. Rear window defogger is on now. You can see that's the rear defogger. These are the heated mirrors. And we'll turn off the controls. Shut off the vehicle. And those two fuses should now be dead. And they are good. So we should be good to go. No more parasitic draw. Drilled 5 holes in the fuse panel and used the terminals that were underneath to plug in, all except for the 87 terminal. I didn't use that. And of course ran a new wire from the fuse, or from the relay, to these two terminals. 30 amp fuse on this side, 15 on that side. Cheaper than $400 fuse panel, and a week to get it. Okay, so I just reconnected the amp meter, and the interior light's shutting off now, and we're down to about 2 amps. I'm going to double check to zero that amp clamp. Take it off the battery cable, set it on the battery cable. Okay, that's zeroed pretty close. And we're at about 450 milliamps. I'm going to change the resolution on here now. And now we've dropped down to roughly 156 milliamps. And we'll have to wait 20 to 25 minutes for the retained accessory power relay to sleep, and then we should be good. So after approximately 15 minutes on this vehicle, it's dropped down to 36 milliamps, 33 to 35 milliamps. There's a little blip there. I think that might be the radio or the LED, security LED. Oh, my meter's gone to sleep. There we go. about 34 or 35 milliamps.